Patch 2.4 feels like a major step forward, not just in content, but in how Wuthering Waves presents itself. Compared to Patch 2.3, which gave us strong reruns and tough research choices, this update signals a shift in Kuro's marketing strategy. We'll talk more about that in future content, but for now, our focus is on Cartethyia. She's arriving in less than a week as the headliner of first phase, with Rupa following in the second phase, and with multiple new characters teased already, players are once again forced to make big decisions. Is Cartethyia the right place to spend your limited Astrites? In this video, we'll break down everything you need to know, from her kit and synergy to her meta roles and build flexibility. If you're free to play or just trying to make the smartest decisions on your account, this will help you decide if she's truly worth pulling. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Kenzor. I cover in-depth guides and analyses around potential meta shifts, character viability, and how each update fits into the bigger picture, especially for free-to-play players. If you find these videos helpful, I'd love if you like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of summer. Big thanks to everyone who's been commenting, giving feedback, or simply showing up. It means a lot and really helps me grow and improve with every upload. Now, back to Cartethyia, and let's break down what makes her such a standout unit in this patch. Cartethyia is a Sentinel Resonator, which already implies a strong meta presence, just like Jinshi. Her kit centers around summoning and consuming sword shadows. From the information revealed so far, she can summon up to 3 sword shadows. Once created, this shadow seems to land with a small AoE impact, likely applying at least 1 stack of Aero Erosion each. Since the maximum number of Aero Erosion stacks currently allowed is 3, it's very possible that Cartethyia is designed to reliably apply the full stack count on her own before entering her prioritise form. After summoning these 3 shadow swords, she can consume them to enhance her own damage, a detail we now know for certain thanks to the official livestream broadcast. I believe that doing so grants her a short buff which amplifies her output during prioritise, possibly similar to how Zani uses Spectral Frazzle to maximize the damage output during her liberation. Once transformed, Cartethyia unleashes mid-air combo with wide AoE coverage, finishing with a cinematic high-impactful strike. The rotation looks smooth and intuitive, favoring a balance between accessibility and payoff for proper timing. We also notice her AoE damage is present in both forms. Her base kit already covers a wide range, but prioritise ramps that up even more. The biggest distinction comes from her second use of Resonance Liberation, as it seems to hit primarily in front of her. So while the majority of her skills may cover 70 to 90% of the area, the final Liberation strike is directional. This means you'll need to be mindful of mob positioning, especially in wide area content. But thanks to her fast movement, setting up enemies in front shouldn't be a big issue. It adds a layer of control without being punishing. Cartethyia has one of the most well-rounded kits in the game. What sets her apart is how flexible and self-sufficient she is. Unlike units like Jinshi who need coordinated attacks to keep her damage flowing smoothly, or Zani who depends heavily on Phoebe to apply Spectral Frazzle, Cartethyia handles everything on her own. She can apply Aero Erosion, summon and consume her own Shadow Swords, and doesn't need premium units to perform at her best. In Tower of Adversity, where you typically face small mobs followed by bosses, this makes her an ideal pick. Her burst potential and AoE damage are well suited for tight groups and structured rotations. In contrast, Whimpering Wastes could demand more careful positioning to get the most out of her final strike. But again, this seems manageable due to how much of her kit already delivers wide-reaching AoE. The only place she might struggle is against Hologram Bosses. Her animations could leave her briefly exposed, similar to Phoebe's heavy attacks, but since holograms aren't part of the resetting content that rewards large amounts of Astrite, it's not a deal breaker. Tower of Adversity and Whimpering Wastes resets every 4 weeks and offer far more valuable rewards, 700 and 800 Astrite respectively, while holograms only give around 120 total each, and that's a one-time reward for clearing all stages. As long as she performs well in recurring meta content, any weaknesses in holograms are a minor concern. Looking back at previous patches' damage potential, Jinshi set the bar at 534k damage at S0, becoming the standard for what a main DPS should look like. Carlotta followed in 2.0 with 527k and offered more independence. While her raw damage was slightly lower than Jinshi's, the difference is so small it hardly matters, especially considering the value of her self-sufficiency. It's not a real compromise, just a small trade-off for much more flexible gameplay. Then Phoebe raised the ceiling to 598k, and Zani, when paired with Phoebe, hit 764k, though she needed help to get there. On her own with Rover, Zani did just 416k. I think Cartethyia will land right in the middle of the current damage spectrum, which feels just right for her. Based on what we've seen, I'd guess her damage lands near 600k or just under without Ciaccona, which is already a strong spot to be in. When paired with Ciaccona, I expect her damage to come close to what Zani and Phoebe can achieve, possibly just a bit less. But the key difference is that Cartethyia doesn't rely on Ciaccona the way Zani depends on Phoebe. This makes her setup much more flexible and relieves players from feeling forced to pull Ciaccona just to make Cartethia's kit work. It's more likely that Kuro will continue letting Zani and Phoebe to be the highest damage duo because players felt more pressure to pull for Phoebe. Her presence brought a significant jump in Zani's output, especially compared to using Spectral Rover. With Cartethyia, Ciaccona just boosts her damage but isn't needed to unlock her kit, which eases the pressure on players and gives more team flexibility. This kind of self-sufficiency makes her one of the most straightforward and effective DPS units we've seen so far. She fits easily into a wide range of teams and delivers strong results without extra setup. All of this makes Cartethyia one of the most reliable and easy to use DPS units released so far. She's perfect for players who want strong results without building around one specific teammate. That's why she earns a full 5 out of 5 in meta potential. Cartethyia gets a 5 out of 5 for team synergy because while she doesn't need specific teammates to function, she still benefits greatly from having the right support. Her best in slot partner is Ciaccona, who offers 100% aero erosion amplification, a 24% aero damage bonus, and, when equipped with her signature weapon, reduces enemy aero resistance by 10%. On top of that, she provides consistent erosion application. Together, they form a strong core, though it's worth noting that Cartethyia can already apply aero erosion stacks on her own. This makes Ciaccona more of a damage booster than an enabler, unlike Zani, who completely relies on Phoebe for Spectral Frazzle. That's why this duo isn't mandatory. You'll still get great value, but not to the extent where one unit unlocks the other. Now, when we talk about other options for Cartethia's teams, I think of three main types. The first is the Premium Core, where you run her with Ciaccona as a sub-DPS and a healer like Shorekeeper. If you don't have Shorekeeper, you can easily run Verina or Baizi in that slot. They'll do just fine. The second category includes more free-to-play friendly versions. You can use either Aero Rover or Aalto as a sub-DPS, and pair them with a healer of your choice, again, Shorekeeper, Verina or Baizi, depending on who you have. These teams are accessible, flexible, and still perform well. Then, there's a more creative setup where Phoebe acts as a sub-DPS to apply Spectral Frazzle, and Aero Rover converts it into aero erosion stacks, helping Cartethyia reach her full damage cycle. And lastly, another free-to-play focused team I see many players gravitating towards is Cartethyia as a main DPS, Aalto as a sub-DPS for the 23 aero damage amplification, and Aero Rover to increase the erosion stacks. Cartethyia stands out for how easily she fits into free-to-play team setups. She applies aero erosion on her own and doesn't rely on premium supports to function, which is a huge plus, especially as we move into a new phase of the game where negative status amplification becomes more important. I believe future main DPS units that use these debuff systems should follow Cartethia's lead. They shouldn't rely on expensive units to just function. Instead, strong design should mean the unit works well on its own and gets even better with the right team. That's what makes Cartethyia exciting. She doesn't need to be enabled to do her job. You just build a team that lifts her damage further, not one that requires to unlock it. That shift in how characters are built makes her a smart and flexible pick going forward. Cartethia's build is one of the most free-to-play friendly among recent DPS characters. Not only does she work well with a variety of free-to-play units, but her flexibility means you don't need a specific 5-star partner to make a kit function. Compared to units like Zani, who really needs Phoebe to reach her true damage potential, Cartethyia performs well even in low investment setups. Even without full details on her signature weapon, Emerald of Genesis looks like a great option. It gives crit rate and energy regeneration, which are two key stats she'll likely need. This also makes building her echo set easier since you won't have to rely as much on substats. High refinement 4-star options can also be viable depending on her final scaling, which adds even more flexibility. Overall, I believe Cartethyia is one of the safest and smartest picks for free-to-play players looking for a main DPS that won't require pulling extra units just to work properly. That said, I personally wouldn't give her a perfect 5 out of 5 just yet. The main reason is that we still don't know what her stat scaling looks like. Right now, her kit looks almost too perfect, and personally, I feel there has to be some kind of catch. It would feel a bit too easy if such a powerful unit worked flawlessly with just a basic 4-star weapon and no special stat needs. We've seen how demanding builds like Rochia's, who needs over 70% crit rate, or Brand's, who needs close to 280 energy regeneration, can make things harder to manage. If Cartethyia ends up needing something that specific, it might change how accessible she really is for free-to-play players. Until we get full info, that uncertainty is the only reason I'm holding back from giving her a perfect score here. Cartethyia's kit is simple to pick up. You build source shadows through basic attacks and skills, then consume them with a plunge to buff yourself and enter liberation. Her dual form gameplay adds some variety but doesn't rely on tight or punishing rotations. Most of her AoE damage flows naturally through her combos, and her mid-air animations are responsive and easy to aim. Personally, I'd give her 4.5 out of 5 here. While she looks extremely easy and smooth to play, especially for newer players, there's a catch. If you want to maximize her damage with 3 units, you'll need to plan her rotation carefully. Specifically, she needs to time her abilities so Aero Rover can boost her from 3 to 6 aero erosion stacks. That setup isn't difficult, but it adds an extra layer of thinking to get the most out of her damage. So even if she feels natural and easy on paper, the reality is that free-to-play players may find it slightly inconvenient if they want to fully optimize her non-premium teammates. Still, that doesn't take away from how clean and responsive her kit feels overall. When it comes to real value, the real question is Cartethyia worth pulling, and should you go for her signature weapon too? Personally, I believe Cartethyia is one of the safest and most future-proof DPS picks we've seen so far, especially if you are looking for a main carry who doesn't rely on premium enablers to function. She's flexible, stylish, and offers consistent performance in all key content like Tower of Adversity and Whimpering Wastes. Even without Ciaccona, she still works very well with free-to-play teams, which makes her even more appealing for low spenders. What makes her stand out is how self-sufficient she is, which is something we rarely see in high-performance DPS units. That said, her ceiling might not be higher compared to Zani paired with Phoebe, but in return, you get a unit that's easier to build, easier to team build around, and easier to use. The only minor consideration is potential overlap with Aero Rover if you are already using Frazzle Focus comps elsewhere. But for most players, I think Cartethyia is going to be a great investment and possibly the new baseline for what a modern main DPS should look like. Now, is her signature weapon worth pulling? This is where things get tricky. We still don't have full details on her signature weapon, but based on past trends, I personally expect it to improve her overall damage by around 15 to 30%. That said, if Cartethyia ends up scaling with a specific stat, like how Brand needs over 250% energy regeneration, then her signature weapon might become much more important. It could help her hit that stat requirement more easily and keep her rotation smooth. And since she's a Sentinel Resonator with a main DPS kit, there's a strong chance the weapon will push her ceiling significantly higher. So while Emerald of Genesis is a great option for now, if you are planning to main her long term and want to squeeze out every bit of potential, her signature weapon could be a smart investment. Overall, Patch 2.4 marks more than just new content. It reflects a clear shift in how Kuro is handling their game's direction, branding, and character design. We'll cover that more in upcoming videos, but it's important to keep this context in mind as we look at Cartethyia. Personally, I think Cartethyia represents a major turning point in how DPS units are designed. She doesn't need an enabler to function, works well in multiple team setups, and gives players, especially free-to-play, plenty of flexibility without locking value behind premium combinations. Whether you run her in a full aero comp, a creative hybrid, or with budget options, she performs at high level while staying accessible. She might not be the highest damage we've ever seen, but she doesn't need to be. What matters is her consistency, her ease of use, and her ability to scale with or without meta support. That kind of design sets expectations for future character where the focus shifts from who do I need to pull to make this unit to work to how can I boost this unit even further. If you are looking for a more reliable main DPS who delivers great performance without forcing you into niche or expensive team comps, Cartethyia is one of the best options available right now. And as always, if you do decide to invest more into her after pulling her, I personally believe the first major upgrade should be her signature weapon. That alone could bring a bigger boost to her damage than any sub DPS or sequence. Only after that I would consider investing in a sub DPS to further enhance her output. Sequences should be the final step. Nice to have, but not a priority. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more guides and breakdowns. I'd really appreciate if you share this video with your friends too. It helps a ton and brings me closer to hitting my goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of summer. Your support helps me keep making more videos like this, focused on deep dives, team builds, and how each update could affect your account. So what do you think? Is Cartethyia the kind of modern main DPS design Kuro should continue to follow? Until next time, happy gaming!